So this week is the grim one-year anniversary of the July Unrest, in which over 350 people died. The mass looting and destruction was sparked by protests over the jailing of former President Jacob Zuma. Now, with the cost of living, the cost of fuel spiralling and power cuts an ever-present dampener on our economic prospects, there are real concerns this is fertile ground for more unrest. This weekend, the CEO of Business Unity SA, Cas Coovadia, sounded a warning in this regard, and he joins us now. Thank you so much for your time. Why do you believe that this is fertile ground for more unrest? What do you see as the main issues that could cause this?
Well, what we're saying is that we just need to be aware of what we believe is the fact that a lot of the conditions that pertain at the time of the July unrest last year still pertain. So what was in place at that time? The unrest came about as a result of the imprisonment of Jacob Zuma and was engineered by his supporters. Those supporters and those who even the state said they had identified, to our knowledge, are still at large. They have not been brought to book yet. We have a political climate currently that's fairly uncertain in the run-up to the ANC elective conference. It's a matter of public knowledge about different factions in the ANC that are vying for power. We also have a situation where we have absolutely no idea what's happened to arms and ammunition that was stolen during the July riots last year. And those are still out there and in the hands of those who engineered the insurrection last year. So these are still situations that pertain, conditions that pertain. We have no knowledge that the state has taken care of that. We also have no knowledge about what the state has done about shortfalls that they themselves identified in law and order and in intelligence. So those are the conditions that were prevalent then. Certainly to our knowledge, they're prevalent today. And we're not saying that riots will occur or anything of that sort. What we are saying is that those conditions do still pertain. And we trust that the government has a handle on these things. They have intelligence in the event of something being planned again. And what we would ask the government to do is just to give the public and investors assurance that they have learned from the riots last year and that they are on top of issues if and when they do arise in the current climate.
Does the fact that we've seen so few prosecutions since the riots and the unrest last year create a sense that, well, it could happen again and no one seems to really be held responsible? Do you think that is an added problem?
Well, the fact that no one has been held responsible is a problem, and that seems to be the trend in our country in various, areas. People are able to act in the way they act because they believe that they will not be held accountable. And so the fact that we have not seen arrests of anybody that has been linked to the unrest, the Minister of Police saying that they have identified people and they will arrest them is good news, but we need to see these arrests and we need to see cases being brought to court if there are cases against these people and being prosecuted. And that in itself actually raises confidence that the state is on top of the issues and give both investors and the public confidence that the state is conducting itself in a way that they will do their best to actually avoid such a situation occurring again.
Do you think the financial pressures are worse this year than last year? Because yes, we know that times are really bad now, but last year we were coming out of COVID, many people had lost their jobs. Are we in a worse state now financially?
Well, it's all relative, I guess. I mean, last year was bad because of COVID. This year it's very bad because inflation has gone up. Interest rates are going up, not only in South Africa, but in other parts of the world. As a result of Ukraine and other factors, food prices have gone up, fuel prices have gone up. People are finding extremely difficult to actually make ends meet under extremely difficult circumstances. And so I think that certainly our view is that people are under probably more severe strain now, economic strain, than they were last year. Last year was COVID, and that had a significant impact. But this year, at this point in time, I mean, look at where fuel prices are, look at where food prices are. And all as a result, well, some of it as a result of global factors, but others as a result of us not actually making the necessary interventions to actually bring about investment and growth.
Of course, we know that the rand's weakness is one of the reasons why it's going to increase our fuel price. And we know, of course, there's global pressure. When there's the possibility of global recession, people tend to seek out safe haven currencies like the dollar. Do you see that as the real reason why the rand has weakened? Or do you see more domestic issues playing a greater role?
Well, it's probably both. I mean, interest rates are going up in the US. So people, investors will see where they were seeing virtually zero interest rates, or very low interest rates, and return on investment fairly low. Interest rates going up, so they'll move some of their monies to the dollar. I think the other reason is that, people are, it's a year since the unrest. I think investors are looking out to see, look, have we learned, has the government done anything? What is the government saying? But then there are other global pressures as well. The globe is in a very, very precarious place at the moment. And as a result of that, we obviously feel those global pressures, but I think that there's a lot of levers that we can pull ourselves to mitigate against some of those global pressures and to actually demonstrate even to investors that we are seriously moving towards creating an environment where in the face of stiff competition with other countries, but we do have opportunities in this country. We have great opportunities in this country. And we need to just send out the message to investors that the investment is safe, there'll be policy and political certainty. And I think people will come here.
1 year on from the July unrest, how much has South African business as a sector recovered? Has it been a full and complete recovery yet?
No, from information we have, it hasn't been a full and complete recovery. I think, it's always more difficult to rebuild than to destroy. So if you take the Brookdale Mall in Pietermaritzburg, for instance, significant parts of it's still under construction, so those businesses haven't opened. We know that ShopRite Checkers, for instance, didn't open all the stores that were destroyed. We know that a number of small businesses haven't opened again. So investment and business development is not at the level it was before the July insurrection. It will, I guess, continue to build as infrastructure gets rebuilt and confidence goes up. But at this point in time, it's not at the level it was before the insurrection.
Thank you so much for talking to us this evening. CEO of Business Unity South Africa, Cas Coovadia, 1 year on from that unrest, calling for clear direction from government and a message